After finishing Authentic, the case for Mark 16:9 through 20 by James Snapp, and discovering the immense details and arguments in favor of the longer ending of Mark, I wanted more. So when I saw a fresh analysis of John 7:53 through 8:11, I had to read it. And the big question running through my mind at the time was, will James change my thinking on John chapter 8 in the same way he changed my thinking on Mark chapter 16? Will his arguments for the inclusion of John 7:53 through 8:11, to include them in the inspired text, will those arguments be just as strong as his arguments for the inclusion of the longer ending of Mark? Well, let's not give away my ending now like some do in the Gospel of Mark. So first, I want to say that once again, James Snapp shows himself to be a master at pulling together and compiling all of the information and evidence one should examine when determining the legitimacy of a passage in the New Testament. I can't imagine how long it would take to assemble all of the material that is here in this book, but today's church is blessed to have James and his willingness to pore over the details. And like his work on Mark, no one should make up their mind on John 7:53 through 8:11 until they've considered the evidence and the arguments in his book. And I found the most intriguing section of the book to be chapter 7, under external evidence, with the title, Variations of the Location of the Passage. I know what you're thinking, that is a really intriguing title, but it is a great chapter. Snapp explains how, based on early lection cycle readings of John 7:53 through 8:11, that passage would be placed in various locations for the benefit of the public reading of the scripture throughout the year. And I've never heard this before, and it shoots holes in some major arguments that are made against the inclusion of John 7:53 through 8:11. And this is another place where in his book, like Authentic, Snapp makes these arguments that I never hear anybody else bringing up who is against the inclusion of the passage, and it just makes me wonder if these scholars are either ignorant of the data in this book, or they're purposefully withholding arguments and evidence from the reader, so we can't know the whole story. It brings up some interesting points about why arguments are left out of other books on these passages. I thought also that his writings on Jerome's treatment of the passage may have been the most important in the book, as James writes, but clearly, if we trust Jerome's descriptions, we must conclude that before 417, the story about the adulteress was found in many Greek manuscripts and many Latin manuscripts. There's just so much information in this book to support the inclusion of John 7:53 through 8:11 in the text of John's Gospels. And as James says as of writing his book, we have 1,476 manuscripts of the Gospel of John that all contain at least some part of the beginning of John chapter 8. But he notes that we also have 267 manuscripts that don't contain any of the disputed passage. And to me, that number, that 267, is so big that it is difficult to see it as a mistake, where the passage was just accidentally left out. And I also believe that the internal evidence weighs slightly more in favor for leaving out John 7:53 through 8:11. I think, as Gordon Fee does, that based on the traditions of the Feast of Booths that were practiced at that time period at the temple, it makes a lot more sense for Jesus to say both, I am the living water and I am the light of the world, on the same day of the feast, the final day. And if you include John 7:53 through 8:11, it would separate those little mini sermons that Jesus gives onto two different days that I think lose a lot of their emphasis if you have Jesus saying, I am the light of the world, on the day after the Feast of Booths. And I don't think James spends enough time dealing with that piece of information, at least for my liking. So my honest opinion on the story of the woman caught in adultery is that before reading James's book, I thought there was no possible way that this could have been original to John's Gospels. Now I think it could be original. I also think there is enough evidence on each side, both for and against the reading, where it would be wise to not be dogmatic on the inclusion or the rejection of the passage. Now, I know that that's not a popular conclusion to come to, especially when making a YouTube video. We want people to be dogmatic so that we can debate on what they say, whether they are right or whether they are wrong. But if we're honest with ourselves, we are talking about manuscripts from 1,000 years ago, and we're comparing hundreds of copies with a lot of differences. And I think sometimes it's okay. And sometimes the best thing to say is, the evidence isn't conclusive for anyone. So I want to thank James Snapp, though, for opening up my eyes to the importance of this story as one that very well may be genuine. But I'm not going to be dogmatic about its inclusion in the text. And just to make sure that I am explicit and dogmatic about this, I do highly recommend a fresh analysis of John 7:53 through 8:11 with a tour of the external evidence by James Snapp, for anyone who wants to know the whole story behind the most debated passage in the Gospel of John. Let me know what you think about this passage in the comments. Just remember to be Christ-like and humble in all that you say. And if you enjoyed this review and would like more of Rev Reads, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.